Sometimes I feel like a star, but only strictly where I'm famous. I'm in this for the longest haul, like we'll see where it takes us. I'm throwing back these double shots like whiskey here is weightless. Cause this career I chose was even riskier than Vegas, yo.
Now, hey everybody, how are you? It's Colby, Psychic Rebel. If you can't tell, I am not in studio tonight. I am actually on location in Florida. Just spent the last 2 weeks working in New Jersey and then this past week in Florida. But I have such an amazing guest tonight that I wanted to make sure we still did the show because I absolutely love this woman and wanted to make sure all of you know about her, heard about her, and can connect with her directly. But, it's been a fantastic week. It's been fun serving spirit and also getting a little downtime. I've been kayaking, been in an airplane. My best friend's husband's a pilot. So tomorrow he is flying me to Miami to then catch my commercial flight back to LA. So, I feel like this world traveler. It's very, very exciting.
Very cool.
Thanks, John. But really, what I want to talk about is our guest tonight. She is an author, a teacher. She is a life coach and a consultant. And she's absolutely fabulous. She's just so down to earth and so connected, and really, really helps people find that little bit about themselves to get them to the next level. What do they need? What do they do? But she does that really through her own looking glass in a lot of ways. So it's not done with ego. It's done with love, and you can absolutely feel it. So she's a teacher, and I can't wait to talk to you about her show, but she also just co-authored a book, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do, I have to introduce you to our guest tonight, Wendy L. Yost. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Colby. Thanks so much for having me on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you. I'm a huge fan of yours. I see the work you do. I see how it's helping so many people. And I just thought, you know what? We gotta let everyone who watches Psychic Rebel Live know about you and know what you're doing and know how you're changing the world.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is truly an honor to get to be here. I am so grateful to John and his technology know-how. Like literally, that in and of itself is an answered prayer.
That's what I say.
Yeah, for sure. Because it literally has been a prayer of mine for a long time to befriend technology in new ways and to trust that we can use technology to connect in really meaningful and deep and lasting ways, which is something that requires a little bit of trust and practice and troubleshooting. And so as soon as you said, oh no, John takes care of all of that, I was like, oh, okay, done.
That's what I say. I say, John, it's broke, fix it. So
My pleasure.
It's great. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for doing the show. Thank you so much for being on. But we have some really, really big news. Yesterday, you just released a book that you helped co-author, The Coaching Code. And you co-authored it with this Betsy Chase, who, for anyone doesn't know, she's the author of What the Bleep Do We Know? But Wendy, I want to hear about your contribution to this book. Tell me what this book is about. Tell me what inspired you to want to be a part of this project.
Thanks. Well, the Coaching Code came about with Betsy's work in working very frequently with coaches that she was really proud to get to partner with in a number of different ways. And when I learned about the opportunity, I knew precisely what I was going to be focusing on. There's a conversation that I have very often. Part of my background is in higher education, and I've worked in a number of different arenas on different college campuses. I used to manage 50 universities across the United States for a collegiate marketing company. And
Ooh.
so, yeah, oftentimes what'll happen is friends will say, like, can I take you to lunch and pick your brain about how to get on college campuses? There are a lot of different opportunities to connect with not just the students, but also faculty and staff, and all of the things that kind of have a university function much in the same way that a city would. And so I've had the joy of being able to craft a chapter that basically provides all of the information that I've been sharing through these conversations, so that if I do get the opportunity to work with someone and we partner on coming up with some strategy for them, we can shift the focus from the nuts and bolts that are included in the chapter and instead really focus on what their business is all about and how we can look for some direct connections between their business and the different departments that exist and opportunities that exist on local college and university campuses.
But you do life coaching through many different careers, is that right? You work on many careers for people, is that right?
Yes. So life coaching, career coaching, business coaching, relationship coaching. Really what it comes down to, and this has even occurred in some of the corporate coaching that I do for Fortune 500 companies, is they'll bring me in and they'll say, we want this employee to go further, faster. We've got them on the track for management, and they just need some minor tweaking as they step, into an ever-evolving role. And sometimes what ends up being the thing that's going to help that person most is how to manage some of the responsibilities that they have at home. And how to, kind of some work-life balance pieces. And so I always take the stance of we're coaching the whole person, not just the parts of the person. And
Yes.
if we can really pay attention to whatever is most pressing, whenever we have the sessions, then that's going to make the biggest difference. And over time, through the partnership, we'll be able to cover a lot of different bases.
Give me an example of something that you'll work on with someone, like in a session. If you're going to have, normally I would assume you have blocks of sessions, right? But if you were going to do that, give me an example of like a session with a client. Like, what would you work on with them?
Well, first, I would start by asking a lot of questions about what their desired outcomes are, so that I have a sense of the what are the finish lines that they're hoping to cross, and what was it that had them decide to request some support in doing that. Beyond that, I just ask about, it's funny, something as simple as like, so how's your day going? And then immediately within 5 minutes, it's like, okay, we can tinker with that, and that. And sometimes it's just a minor tweak of like, oh, they have it kind of locked in that it has to be a certain way. And if I can provide them with a more expansive way of looking at it, I actually joked at one point that on my business card, I might change my title to say perspective lender. But then I thought it would be too confusing with bank terminology. But I do. It's one of the things that I love to do is like lend perspective, because if you can enhance somebody's perspective to be, more not enhanced, but more expansive than they're currently looking at it, then something different gets to happen that wasn't available
almost like
before.
they get to see it through a new lens in a way.
Yeah, and it might relieve tension, and it might create hope, and it might do all kinds of things that then would allow whatever the action step is to emerge. Because that's a big part of coaching, and how sometimes it can differ greatly with therapy is just the focus on action and moving forward. We do look at the past, but we don't dwell there. We try to cultivate the lessons and the gold from whatever it is that transpired, and look for how the past is affecting the current reality. But it's really not let's go mining, because as you know, from a spiritual perspective, what we're putting our attention on, we're getting more of. And so if you're just retelling the same stories over and over again of, oh, ain't it awful, that's not going to be a very empowering way to go about it.
Right. Now, what if you're working with someone, because a lot of people work with life coaches, like you said, maybe kind of getting a new position or getting deeper. But what if they're a little lost on what they want to do with their life? Or what if they're kind of in a job that they really don't like? Are you able to help them maybe find something about their life that they do want, that they would be passionate about, or that they should pursue?
Well, what you're talking about is something that's really important, because I think at some point I did a workshop about like how to make your current job your dream job.
Okay.
Because sometimes people think they need to leave, and they don't actually need to leave. They need to ask for what they need. And
Okay.
and the need might not even be more money. Sometimes I'll have clients who they start talking about their work, and I said, well, how would it feel if tomorrow you went into the office and they doubled your salary? And if the person's like, it still wouldn't matter, I still need to go, that's pretty telling that the
Yes.
job's not a fit. It's not about the money. In other
Right.
cases, it could be something that is as simple but also complex as they're feeling underappreciated for what they're contributing in the office.
Right.
And that has been fascinating because there was someone that I got to work with. It was actually a referral from one of my students when I was at Arizona State University. I used to work there. I was the advisor to the improv and sketch comedy troupe at Arizona State. I know, it's like I can't believe they paid me to do that. But one of the students was able to connect me with somebody who's an actor, and I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm doing what I normally do as far as the coaching process. And after everything was said and done, I said, "So your boss doesn't value you?" And he said, "Yeah." And so he was really caught up in the whole, like, on the set and all the different kind of entertainment Hollywood components of it and the politics. And I'm like, but if you drill down to just the essence of what's happening,
Yep.
you don't feel seen by your boss, and you feel like you could contribute in a lot of different ways than what you're currently being given access to.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
like, I love doing that because then it's like something, new becomes available that in their current role. And then we just figure out, so how do you have those difficult conversations or those awkward conversations that can move things along so you can see, like, is this a place that if I tweaked some things would be worth staying at?
Right, right. Or can I, because a lot of times too, even in the work I do, I find that people will, they'll feel like they're unhappy either in a relationship or a job or something like that, and they kind of want to bail on it before figuring out what the problem is. Like, are they contributing somehow, or are they not being present or mindful or anything like that? You know what I mean? So it is interesting to kind of say, hey, how do we do it? But how do we play a role in our own unhappiness in some ways? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I frequently find myself saying things, whether it's to clients, students, or sometimes myself, because I also need to coach myself.
Yeah.
Is we are the center of our own universe, and wherever we go, we take ourselves there. And so
Yes.
when I have people say, like, I just need to get out of this job, I hate it, I need to leave. I said, hold on a minute. We need to line up some energy, because right now you're in the energy of get me out of here.
Yes.
And it's not a very strong platform to move from. It's pretty wobbly, in fact, energetically, which I love, by the way, that we can talk about this kind of stuff on your show. Yay!
Yay!
And so, yeah, it's a non-stable force of energy if you're just get me out of here. But if instead you start to craft what you want next to look like and feel like, then the pulling power of that new reality is what's going to get you through the logistics and into the new realms of possibility.
Well, what was fascinating, I thought, you and I had actually had one of those lunches where I picked your brain.
I loved it.
But what was amazing about it is, and I knew even when I reached out to you that there was something that you were going to say or do. Like, so, my little intuitive little Scooby sense was like, you got to reach out to her. But it was so fascinating because when we did sit down and we did talk, you hit on something that was so right on about, like, we were talking about me having this perception of being private versus public. And it was fascinating because the way you had this way of looking at it and changing the perception that allowed me to see it in a whole new way. Yeah. And then just from there on, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, it is great. So I know, I firsthand know the value of your work. I know the change that you create with your clients. So it's one of those things, like, I want everyone to have you.
Aww. Well, thank you. I very much appreciate that. And it was so fascinating to me because when you messaged me and said, I just keep getting that I need to reach out to you, I mean, I was starstruck. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, Colby Psychic Rebel wants a session. And so when you that was like one of the happiest can I pick your brain moments that I think I've ever experienced.
That's great.
Yeah. And we, when we met, it was very interesting because I remember you, when I was referring to well, how do you talk about yourself? How would you describe what you do? And it was just this little piece that just needed to kind of get unhooked. And as soon as I did it, it's like your whole body relaxed because my whole body relaxed. And then I was like, oh, now something different gets to happen.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So I think what the great thing is too, this goes back to, the book that you helped co-author, because this, I'm assuming now all these authors, what are there, 17 authors? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm one of 18 plus Betsy Chassie. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, and then do each of you have a perspective on the coaching, or how does it work with the book?
So each chapter is actually the thing that particular coach over the last 10 or more years that they've been coaching professionally, that was Betsy's threshold. We each had to be coaching for 10 years professionally. Which was amazing to me. I was like, well, yeah, I did the math. And I was like, I got my first certification in 2004 with Martha Beck, and it was amazing. And I didn't even realize that coaching was could be a job, a career, a profession. I thought it was a nice hobby that I did on the side, that all my friends were coming to me. And then I realized that I could actually do this. This could be my life's work. And
you enjoy it.
And oh my gosh. Now it's funny. I believe that I'm coaching in every facet of my life. I just happen to do it as a college professor. I happen to do it as somebody who leads moon circles. I happen to do it on radio and through books and through my writing. It comes through in everything I do. I can't not coach.
So what is the moon circle? Tell us a little bit about this moon. I know you hold it. Is it Sherman Oaks that you hold it in?
It's at a really beautiful little healing space called, it's not actually that little because they've expanded it to include two rooms for us. But yeah, Aum and Garden, AUM and Garden in Sherman Oaks, California. And I've been doing that I'm going on 3 years when we turn into 2017. It started as an event at California State University, Northridge, where I teach. And I was invited to work with the new student orientation program. And and so what I love about getting to work with that group of students is it's student leaders who, there's about 250 student leaders who are then trained to welcome and orient our 5,000 incoming freshmen.
Wow.
So talk about impact. And the office that coordinates that is an office that I used to work in when I was a student way back when, a few decades ago. And so it's dear to my heart to have those kinds of opportunities, like those full circle moments. And I was asked, what do you want to give the students? We want you to do 2 sessions. And I thought about it, and I thought about when I was a student, and I thought about stuff that I was currently grappling with. And what came immediately to mind was that we don't know how to let things go. Mm-hmm. We don't know how to release things, and we don't know how to let things in. We don't know how to receive. And we're not taught this, so it's not our fault. But there are 2 things that in every cycle of nature exist. And so, and then the moon has always been just in every sense of the word, a guiding force in my life. Yes. We're comprised mostly of water. If it's changing the tides, it's likely changing us. But connecting the business of doing moon circle gatherings with the moon circle, I didn't realize how important that would end up being to me. I have a friend who said we were walking outside and the moon was getting very full, and he turned to me and he says, "The moon is your business partner."
Oh.
And I said, yeah, that's true, because when it gets to a certain place, I know if I haven't done the promotion for the upcoming new moon or full moon, then it's time to, get on my little meetup and my Facebook and get all that stuff out so that the people who are interested in attending can find it.
Yeah.
So
have you thought about doing anything live? Like you do it in person. But what about holding something on social media somehow, so for people who are not physically in Sherman Oaks can get a little bit of that moon gathering with you?
Oh, so now you're coaching me.
I'm just saying. It popped
It's-
in, and I thought,
I know.
this is
Yeah.
so much
No,
value
that-
for so many other people who are not physically in Sherman Oaks.
I deeply appreciate your seeing that and saying that. I hear it often.
Okay.
I am. I've been considering it, and I need a John. I need a sound engineer, tech wizard, ninja. Like, I mean, what I saw them doing just to set this up for
I know, right?
this
It's
Florida,
amazing.
California business that we're doing today.
It's great.
I just sat. He's like, "Would you like some water?" And I like that's so that's what I would need, because the while I'm growing ever more strong in my trust around being able to connect through technology, my savvy, this is not my area of genius.
Yeah.
And so,
I feel ya.
but what you're talking about too is something that I think is people are seeing in their lives in different ways, and that's that we're building teams in new ways to support our work in the world.
Yep.
And so, John doesn't have to be strong at what you do or what I do, and I don't need to be strong at what he does or you do, and, all the way around. But if we all come together, then something really incredible can happen. I mean, I have a
Absolutely.
list of like what it took just to pull off this show, just because I'm a voracious learner, and I was just like, oh, okay, and then you got to do this with the mic, and then and then the things go side by. Oh yeah, like I'm constantly deconstructing things so that I, given another opportunity, would be differently positioned to experience ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so,
what I want to do is, John, do we have a caller in queue? Because I want to be able to try to take a caller. We have a caller, right?
Yeah, we do.
Let's take this caller and let's see if we can help them a little bit, Wendy. Sound good to you?
that sounds great.
Okay, great.
All right, let's see. So we have area code 289 on the line.
289. Hey,
Hello, guys.
289.
How are
This is
you?
Colby.
Hi, Colby. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Hi. Who is this?
It's Madeline.
Hey, Madeline. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Getting better. Thank you. Yes.
Good, good. Now, Wendy is a coach, a life coach, kind of helping people through different areas of their life. So, do you have a question that we could help you with?
Well, you know what? It really struck me as I listened to you speak that I've been unofficially doing that my entire life. And I think it's something I need to look into more deeply.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. Like, it really struck me. I've been doing that since I was very young. Wow.
That's
Yep,
fantastic.
Yep. So, but besides that, I guess I have a website started, and I don't know, I get, like you say, there's that stuck moment where you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
You know you got the passion. It shows in your work. But that little voice back there that just keeps coming back. You know, like, I don't know, when I forget all that and just publish what spur of the moment comes in.
Yes.
And it almost feels channeled, very much channeled. And it's just something that just comes out, and when I read it back, it's like, wow, that's okay. But then I hesitate. Yes, so that little hook, you say, to get rid of.
What would you say to Madeline? Like, if she, when she feels good about what she's doing and she feels connected when she's doing it, but she does let that fear get in the way, it does create a block. What do you tell someone in this situation?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and I was taking a couple of notes because there was a lot we could do with this.
I know.
But is that when you said, and then I hesitate, and the what I was present to when you said it was that when we hesitate, hesitation's not in and of itself a bad thing. It's a pause, which actually in a lot of cases you want to build in a pause. And so if you can greet the hesitation and maybe even have a little fun with it, like, oh, well, hello, hesitation, then you might find I think it's worth experimenting. You might find that it loosens the resistance.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't have such a hold on you that would affect the next step. So if you could, how does that feel?
Okay, no, I can give that a try.
Yeah. And then as far as if you've been doing this for your whole life, so this is an interesting dynamic. The coaching industry is not regulated. There's different bodies. There's no governing body. There's different associations and federations that are wanting to be the people who say how to do this and what to do this. But I would encourage you, just as a starting point, to Google, coaching certifications and see what comes up. And if you start to see that some of your favorite authors or some of your favorite speakers have different certification programs, I would just look at it from a curriculum standpoint and look at what their program entails. And some things are as short as a weekend where you're just refining a very clear skill set. Like I did a weekend that was specific to spiritual counseling. But then I've done much longer, like year-long programs, 2-year-long programs, that are a different kind of curriculum. But just finding what's going to speak to you in a meaningful way that would feel like an enhancement and provide you with some structure and tools for what comes so naturally to you already.
So I hope does that help, Madeline? Does that help a bit with it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Good. See, that's all we need. We just need a life coach to help us be life coaches. It's that easy.
Very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My
thank
pleasure.
you. And thanks for calling in, and I really appreciate it. Now it's time to just do it, okay?
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too, dear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aw.
I know, right? She's so connected and beautiful. And actually, Wendy, I think we actually have another call. Let's just take it because these are fun. I love hearing what you have to say to the to them about what they have. So, John, we have another caller. Is that right?
We do. 918 is on the line. 918.
Okay. Hey, 918. This is Colby.
Hi,
Hi. Who is this?
my name's Jessie.
Hey, Jessie. So we have Wendy here. Wendy's a life coach. Wanted to see, do you have any questions for us that we can help you with?
I could probably sit and talk to you guys for like an hour.
Awesome.
Well, I've called a couple different times to your show, and you actually predicted that I had preeclampsia, which I had absolutely no signs. My son was born early. He perfectly predicted that I would have preeclampsia in my pregnancy, and I did.
Wow.
I had no signs, and
Wow.
my son was born early, but he's perfectly healthy, 6 weeks old now.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Wow.
Thank you. As far as I'm a mom, and I'm very happy with being a mom, but as far as my career-wise, I am directionless, and I've been directionless for quite some time, and I don't really know what path to take. And
Yeah, I remember this a little bit. Wendy, I'm gonna jump in here, Jessie, just so we can help. So, Wendy, with Jessie, this is exactly what I was talking about, where we have this absolutely beautiful person. I mean, she's just such a spiritual, kind person, but she's got like a mini little tribe of children, but she's not really sure like what she wants to do with her life. Like so I do know that she's like looking for that. So how do you help her find that life purpose?
Well, what immediately stuck out when you started talking, Jessie, was you used the word directionless. And you can't create a family the way that you have without direction. And so some of this might be, in what ways could you give yourself credit for what you've already created in your life? Mm-hmm. And this actually it's interesting. I teach a leadership class at Cal State Northridge. I've taught it for 25 semesters now, so it's dear to me. There's lots of favorite components. But just this week, a new assignment arose out of something that one of the students said. And so there's an assignment that I give where students can either flash forward to a certain amount of years in their life and do kind of a vision boardy thing with it, magazine clippings and that kind of stuff. And if you Google that, you'll find plenty of tutorials on how to do that. Right. They could send a letter to their younger selves. So a letter to your younger self at any age, but picking an age that would be kind of a tender age where some different decisions were made or maybe some challenges were experienced, and telling that version of yourself what they needed to hear at the time that could be reassuring. So flash forward, a look back. I've actually, part of the assignment, if the students choose to do it, is to write their own obituary or eulogy, which can be hugely confronting but incredibly inspiring and clarifying. And then the version of it that came up out of a conversation with one of the students sharing their experience of having completed the assignment was, what letter would you need to receive today from your future self that would make exactly where you are right now feel like a divine appointment?
Oh, I like that
Oh,
one.
wow.
I know, right, Jesse? No pressure.
That's
So
really neat.
yeah,
Right?
shout out to RTM302 for coming up with that, because they constantly help me refine what I'm doing in the classroom and off campus. So
So in the meantime of having the little baby and the other babies, you know, it's about taking this time to do these assignments for yourself so that you can find that connection within you, right, Wendy?
Absolutely, and that it may not look the way that you think it would, should, might need to. I mean, all those voices in our head that aren't
hear
typically
that.
very kind. I worked recently with a book coach, Angela Lowry. She's amazing. Lowria. I always get that messed up, but she has an author that she worked with who wrote her book in 15-minute increments because that's
Ooh.
all she had available. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
like, there's different ways to do things, but sometimes we stop ourselves because we think it has to look a certain way, when that might not actually be true. So having a trusted friend or considering getting the support of a coach or a counselor could help look at the element component parts and say, okay, well, let's look at where all the strength resides and what you're naturally doing, and then let's see what there might still be, available to be tinkered with.
Oh, I love that. I think that's great. So Jesse, that's your homework. That's what you have to do, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so have a good night, and I do, keep calling in. I want you to call in every time we have a show because
And
it's nice to hear from you.
blessings to all those babies.
Thank you.
I know, yeah, she's an amazing parent. You can hear it, so I love that. So, well, thanks, Jesse, and again, congratulations on the birth of the baby. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Wendy, I really like those assignments, and I do. I think I may try some of those.
I'll get you a copy of my course reader, Colby. That's the treasure trove.
There we go. Thank you.
You can be an honorary member of RTM 302.
I love it. I will gladly do that. Now, what I wanted to also talk about, because I think in doing any of this work, we have to have the ability to look at ourselves. We have to have the ability to look inwards and figure out what we want, like you said, or how do we see ourselves. So I know that you recently started a TV show, or you are like a client on a TV show, right? And it's really cool because it's called Radical Dating: Finding Love After 40, which is so cool. But I want to find out, I think that puts you in a very vulnerable place. You have to be vulnerable. Like, hey, I'm going to be a life coach, but you know what? I'm looking for love also. And I know that feeling because I know so many people can connect to that. What made you feel that, hey, this was the right move for you?
It answered prayer and powerful manifesting, because I knew I needed help. I don't have I was married, for one, so that's a whole other piece that we can talk about. But I was married and then got divorced. But prior to that, I realized that I always had a boyfriend. I was kind of a serial monogamist and never really dated. Most of the relationships that I entered into started off as friendships, and if not, started off because we were part of the same organization or were somehow affiliated through something. So it wasn't, through online dating or meeting a stranger at a bookstore or anything like that. And I'm somebody who, when I know I have a deficiency in a skill set, I just become a student. And
Yeah.
so, it was funny because the day that we started filming, I posted, the teacher has become the student and the coach has become the client.
Oh, I love that.
Because it's true. I'm so clueless. And even though I'm well skilled and well resourced in a lot of arenas, this is an arena I got nothing. And I need help. And I was an adult when I got married. I got married at about 35. And I had this running story in my head. Like I didn't wait until I was 35 to get married more than once. Not realizing that sometimes things are not intended to be the forever partnership that you hope they are to be. Right. And I hold true to, made the right decision when we got married. And I also made the right decision when we got divorced. But I really don't want to carry anything forward, which again, we're center of our own universe. And so I don't want, in the same way that we discussed, you don't want to just get out of something to get into something new without looking at what's contributing to what has been the case. We got to do that with our relationships too, and I'm not immune to that. I mean, I'm the person that a lot of my friends confide in when they have difficulties in their relationships or things that they want to enhance, and I'm great at tinkering with that and giving them little bits and pieces. And I'm well educated. I got to spend 10 years working with Allison Armstrong with the great work that she does. And about hardwiring differences in the masculine and the feminine and how to account for those different variables. But applying it in my own life and toward my own good, sometimes it's easier for us to help other people create good in their lives, and it's not as easy for us to receive the good that's in our own.
So what about this show, though? So what is the premise of the show? Share it with us.
Sure. So Radical Dating is finding lasting love after 40, and it's based on David Steele's work. He had been a marriage and family therapist for over 2 decades, and he was noticing that he was helping couples in crisis at the end of their marriage when it may or may not be savable. And he started to realize that if he took some of the tools he was using with them and applied them to coaching singles, that he would be able to create a different kind of dynamic and foundation for the singles out the gate that wouldn't contribute to those problems.
Okay.
So that immediately caught my attention.
Now on the show, do they have you dating?
We haven't gotten that far yet. So
okay.
But we will. So I thought that I was signing up for something akin to like What Not to Wear, where they kind of go through your normal daily approach to something, and then they give you some skills and have you try it out in like a kind of forced setting, and then a follow up. So I thought I was signing on for like a little half-hour show.
Yeah.
No. I signed on for a 13 episode, five clients, 5 coaches. Like the adventure goes over about 3 months.
Wow.
We are, thankfully they've never used the term boot camp, or I would have run. But it is
because radical didn't scare you away.
I thought it's going to be radical. Like, I don't know. I was a child of the 80s, so I guess the word didn't.
Yeah. No.
Like tubular and radical. It just it didn't occur as like a military term.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so I had my first coaching session yesterday. There was an extensive vetting process. And so a couple things that are key to share about the show, and that I immediately needed to reassure my parents on. No rose ceremony, no competition, no intended casting around drama. It really is real life single people looking to consciously date and find the love of their life. And so they were playing my tune with the words they were using up, down, and sideways.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great because there's something about it that, is definitely going to play a role in you meeting the person that you're going to be with, whether it's through this show or after or however it's going to work out. I mean, that's what's incredible about it, don't you think?
Well, I feel like it was my boldest invitation to the universe to say I'm ready.
Wow, that is Yeah, that is so brave and bold and amazing.
So there's already been tears. There's already been laughter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I'm actually tracking the kind of tears. So
Oh,
far I've
good.
had tears of frustration. I've had tears of awareness. I've had tears of gratitude.
And when does it come out? When does it air, or is it airing?
Well, we're filming all the way through December.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
And then it's gonna.
So we're in it. We're lights,
Okay.
camera, action. Yeah, last night I was on the set until 11. We actually they have incredible sponsors. Ruby Ribbon is one of the sponsors, and I'm not a fashion person. I tend to have kind of a uniform. Like, some people make fun of me because it's like,
really?
I wear the same thing every day, and
Oh gosh. Okay.
and a friend helped me bust out of that, my friend Sarah. So now I wear color, even though I'm
Good.
not wearing it today. And when I learned that they were going to have like stylists come and work with us, I mean, the first thing I was a little bit concerned about is I'm 6 feet tall, I wear a size 18, and I'm a curvy girl, and so to me, like, the meanest voices in my head reside in the dressing rooms of department stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, so they're like putting me in a dressing room with cameras, like not really, but like on the set, like they're going to wheel in all these racks of clothes. And so I asked the director, I was like, are they going to carry above a size 12? And she's like, oh yeah, this company is actually designed all the way up into the size 20s. And they're really proud about having clothes that leave women feeling empowered. And that is what I was left with. And I actually bought a new dress earlier today based on I know, and it's like purple. It's gorgeous, and I don't think.
It's so crazy. As you were talking, I have a purple dress too, and I was just seeing my purple dress, and I was like, I wonder why I'm seeing my purple dress. So that's so funny. But, that's the thing too, is, like you said, it's that perception or the stories we tell ourselves. So it's kind of a note to yourself. Hey, just because you're 6 feet, a size 18, being mindful of the stories we tell ourselves, because there are people that design beautiful dresses for all of us.
Yes. And it's just a matter of kind of getting out of your ruts and your routines and being willing to ask questions. I mean, it was a little bit of an act of self-care for myself to just find out in advance. And I trust the folks that are working on the team. So, but I just figured if they aren't going to have my size, then I'm going to kind of play a different role when the cameras come on. And just be happy for the people that it's going to work for, but knowing that, okay, I might need to do some shopping. And thankfully that wasn't the case. Like, I'm getting stuff off the rack, and I've got stuff coming in the mail, and it was amazing. Ruby Ribbon's amazing.
Wow, I love that, and I love the idea that they make clothing for all sizes, which is so empowering, and the fact that you walked away with a beautiful purple dress. So how fabulous is that, right?
I walked away with what's going to go under the dress that makes me feel comfortable wearing the dress. Let's put it that way.
Well, and I can't wait to see you wear it on a date. That's going to be fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we have a few minutes left, and I want to talk about we do have the book that you helped co-author, The Coaching Code, which is available on Amazon. It did hit number 9 bestseller list for the coaching, which is amazing because it was just released yesterday. So, that is available on Amazon for purchase, but you are also writing your own book. Is that right? Book, Happily After Growing your business while navigating your divorce. Is that right?
It is. And so I embarked in a 10-week writing process over the summer, from idea to manuscript. I had no idea this was going to be the book. I have lots of book ideas that come into my consciousness and float around and play with me every now and then. But this was a very sound process that originated this concept. And how it arose was as soon as I realized that the divorce in my life was inevitable and necessary, my next biggest fear that I needed to face was that I might lose my business in the process. And I think for a lot of people, a divorce can also lead to financial ruin. Because if you, especially in Los Angeles, if you are a two family income, or two family income,
Yeah.
2-income family. And then that family dissolves through divorce, or we didn't have kids, so we just got to dissolve. And then there's this whole, some of the things that had that business work, or would have given that business more time to grow, that safety net vanishes.
Right.
And the safety net vanishes while concurrently you're navigating the emotional, logistic, financial, spiritual implications of a loss that is very, very much in some ways like a death.
Yeah,
and
grieving.
And so not just the grieving what was, but grieving the life you thought you'd have.
And how do you go from loving someone, feeling that they're going to be your lifelong partner, to say, well, now I'm going to be completely by myself. How do I do this?
Yeah. Well, you figure out how. And so I figured out how. And my goal, when I left a corporate job, I gave myself 5 years to recover my salary when I decided to pursue coaching full time, not realizing that part of the coaching would involve being a part-time university professor. So I've kind of crafted this hybrid that, if I had the second income, I might have been able to just build the coaching platform in its entirety. But as far as part-time jobs go, it is something that is a joy for me to get to do in the college setting. And so for that, I'm hugely grateful. But now my focus is really, how do we help the healers, in particular, the people who are drawn to all the different ways that holistic practitioners offer their services? Because I think on our planet, what can happen and what is happening is that when somebody takes the courageous step of leaving a job that doesn't fit anymore, and that takes a lot of energy and courage, then sometimes the relationship that also wasn't a fit is the next to go.
Yeah. Yeah, or it's vice versa.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely.
And so that intersection of, can I still have my business? Can this still work? Again, back to what we talked about with some of our callers, it may not look the way that you thought it would.
Yeah.
But there is a way for this to work.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, being a tax manager for 14 years, there is no way. This is the last thing that I thought, it certainly wasn't the way I thought my life would look. But it is so much more beautiful than I could have ever even imagined. And that's what we have to trust, I think, like even through divorce and even through loss and even through that grieving process and the uncertainty, is just keep working through it, because, on the other side may be something so much more beautiful than you ever thought imaginable.
Well, and you said it so well. I think when I think back to, I think about things now in terms of containers and things being suitable containers and containers that we outgrow.
Yeah.
And sometimes the container's a job, and sometimes it's an apartment or a house, and sometimes it's, the clothes that we wear or the hairstyle that we've had forever, how we do our makeup. I mean, it could be so many different things, but it can also be a relationship.
Yeah.
And it not even necessarily romantic. One of the things I frequently talk about, especially with college students that I get to work with, is your friends change over time. As you change,
absolutely.
But sometimes we're so used to things being comfortable and kind of the way they are that we're not willing to let go of what only kind of works.
Well, we're not willing
space.
to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a biggie. But if you can flex some muscle around learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, or tolerating it, or just thinking through, what do I need? Like this week. I mean, between a book launch and a TV show and a radio show, these are like 3 lifetime goals in 1 week. So I was texting a close friend saying, I feel like I've lived lifetimes in this week, because these are things that I set in motion long ago. But sometimes when we set really big dreams in motion, some of the littler dreams need to be surrendered. And so I've also seen shifts in my own life about what needed to let go so that the bigger stuff had the room that it needed to have its place in my life. And so, and some days I'm really good about that. And some days I go to 2 movies in a day just to be in another world that I don't have to really think about or manage, or have my little popcorn and just sit there and, watch my movies.
And veg out.
And veg
well,
out.
we've got like a minute left, so I want to make sure everybody knows where to find you. So go ahead and give us your website so everyone can look you up, please.
Thank you so much. So my website is moreisavailable.com.
Yes.
More is available, all one word. And I'm pretty easy to find on, if you just Google Wendy Yost or Wendy L Yost. I have a Facebook page, a public page, Wendy L Yost, More is Available. And Moon Circle gatherings are another way. But all of that's linked to the More is Available page.
So for anyone who's looking for, life coaching, consulting, whether you're a business, an entrepreneur, someone working through some personal stuff, visit Wendy, talk to her. I mean, she's so open about having a consultation with you. So reach out, see if it's a good fit. And I'm telling you, she can really change your life. I mean, Wendy, I am so grateful to have had you on the show. I just want to give you just a really warm thank you. A congratulations on the book, everybody. You can find it on Amazon. And Wendy, I just think the world of you, and I'm so excited for everything you're doing. So thank you so much.
Aw, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a mutual fan club.
All right, have a great night.
You too. Safe travels tomorrow.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.